forgot to turn the microphone on for a second there. So today you get to look at my face really up close because you're going to be looking at it the whole time. This is just basically going to be some reading, some hanging out, you know, the usual. And yeah, so, you know, I don't really have much to say about, like, by the way, there's free atmospheric music playing right now, and I'm just playing it randomly to kind of get in the mood. Yeah. So today was a pretty eventful day. I got a lot done, and then I got new microphones, so now you can hear me crystal clear, I hope. Maybe not. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't hear me at all, and I'm talking to myself, and I'm going insane. Ooh, spooky story, scary, ah. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. But you know, if you have any questions for me or at any point during the stream, just drop them in. I'll look at them when I'm in a break in the story, and we'll just, you know, we'll get right into it. I don't really want to like put too much weird atmospheric music in the back. If it's too loud, it's too loud, you know. I think it would be better to just have the environment of reading. Like, isn't that kind of scary, like a person just reading to you? I think I'm implying that like parents are scary when they read to you. That's not quite true, right? Hey, hello, welcome to the stream. We're just getting started. Oh, you can also, if you want, you can name a story that you'd like to hear me read. In the bottom, I have one that I'm gonna start off with, but after that, I'm not sure where to go. I'll probably keep looking and finding them as I go. So it just depends on how long it takes me to read, because I'm going to stumble over my words like I usually do, and it's gonna be one of those things. I have a drink here to like wet my throat so I don't get all Alright. Let's get into it. And remember, I probably maybe won't be able to see your comments right away when I'm reading, but I will get to them when I can. And you can stare at my face for as long as you want, and I won't even know. You're looking. I have no way to tell. So there. Anyway, welcome, and I can't wait to have fun with you guys and hang out. Alright, let's start off with this first story we have set up here. This is called The Round Hole in the Basement. This happened 17 years ago, during the winter of my third year at high school. I've lost a lot of memories over these 17 years, so I'm writing this down with the help of written memos. Always written memos. Should I not make commentary? Some of the smaller details and conversations have been expanded upon and amended by myself, but I'll do my best to tell the truth without exaggeration. My hometown is in the middle of nowhere. To the best of my knowledge, the area was surrounded by rice fields and mountains, and if you wanted to go somewhere to hang out, the closest place was karaoke about an hour away by bike. In 1991, a new religious establishment was suddenly built in this back country. The locals were violently opposed to its construction, and my parents occasionally participated in meetings to have it stopped. They submitted a written petition to the mayor and prefectural government, in addition to complaining to the local media. But the religious group were able to proceed thanks to what they cited as certain conditions. Rumors abounded as to what these conditions were. but most people suspected they paid they paid the city a large amount of money in donations, and due to the area's depopulation, the government ignored the locals' cries. The religious establishment was built near the area where we lived, but the grounds were about 2 or 3 times larger than Tokyo Dome. Thanks to the depopulation in the countryside, land must have been really cheap. Construction was completed during autumn of my 2nd year of high school, and both my parents and teachers warned me not to go near it and not to associate with people there. About 8 of us from the same class went to have a look at it, but the building was surrounded by a large fence. A large gate stood at the entrance, and on either side of it, terrifying faces like Hanya masks were carved into the fence. "Oh shit, they're devil worshippers! Devil worshippers!" one of my friends joked when he saw them. After that, everyone at school started to call them the devil worshippers or the Hanya group. Sometimes, we rode around the area when we were bored to waste time, and also out of curiosity. But strangely, we never saw any followers or staff. There were never any people there, nor was there ever any trouble, so people soon stopped caring about it. People were no longer talking about it by the time I started the 3rd grade of high school. But one day, a classmate by the name of A said to me, "You want to go break in and check it out? My parents said a cute girl was coming in and out of that devil worshippers building. Apparently she goes shopping every day." A's family ran the only large supermarket in town. His parents were apparently very grateful to the devil worshippers for spending up to 20 to 30,000 yen each and every day. That's about $200 to $300. My parents said the people over there were all kind and good. "They're not scary, so let's go," A continued. We had nothing to do and we were bored every day, so a few of us agreed to check it out. There were 5 of us from the same class, myself, A, B, C, and D, and 2 juniors, E and F. There was no way it could be scary with 7 of us together. We were excited and on high spirits. And just check the chat, make sure everything's going okay. How you doing? How you doing? If you're watching, howdy do. How you doing? We agreed to meet at the abandoned post office near the establishment. When I got there, A, B, C, and E were already there, but we waited 30 minutes for D and F to arrive. They didn't, so the 5 of us decided to go ahead of them. We parked our bikes nearby and walked over to the gate. "It really is scary at night, though," someone said. "We should have brought another light," said another. There was a single light on inside the building, which was considerable distance from the front gate. "Shit, they're still awake. You don't reckon they're summoning demons, do ya?" Everyone started muttering and joking. "We can't get in through here," C said. "I know how to get in," A replied. "There's a small gate entrance around the corner we can enter." "You should have said something sooner," C said. He walked along the wall, turned the corner, and there was a small door built into the fence. A pushed against it, and it opened inward. The 5 of us filed in, and flicking our torches on and off, we wandered around the establishment grounds. "There's nothing here. We shouldn't get too close to the building." We discussed what to do, but there was nothing around, and we were bored, so we decided to check closer. The main premises were about 100 meters from the main gate, and after that stood 3 buildings. I don't remember them very well, but they had a strange outward design. We sneaked a closer look to the buildings. There was a public toilet between 2 of them, looking neat and clean with the lights on. It was paved with white concrete, and there was a bench outside. "Let's take a break," A said. "What? We're in deep shit if they find us," the other said. "Let's just do a lap, then get out of here." "If they find us, they're gonna call the cops," I agreed. "We'll be graduating soon. We don't want to do anything stupid before then." Let's go home. But A sat down on the bench and took out a cigarette. Alright, let's go back after I'm done with this, he said. So we all sat down to have a smoke. I need to use the toilet, A said, and then went inside. Is he really going to sneak into their building and piss in their toilet? B said. Well, if he's going to shit, their demon is going to curse him. C replied. Then A called out from inside. Hey, get in here. You guys gotta see this. We filed in, one after the other. What do you think this is? A pointed to one of the stalls. It's a toilet, B said. Open the door, A replied. What the? B muttered as soon as he opened the door. Inside were stairs leading underground. Weird, right? All the others are toilets, but this one is stairs, A said. It was then I realized how strange it all was. First of all, A's words and actions had been baffling the entire time. He was the one who suddenly proposed we break in. He knew where the door was to get in, and then he brought us to the toilets on purpose. Did you come in here to take a shit? I asked him. No, yeah, that's right, he vaguely replied. Well, you want to go down? Of course, I replied. Stop saying such weird shit. Let's get out of here. If we hang around any longer, they're gonna find us. Ha! Are you scared? Too scared to even go down a little? A made fun of me. He was provoking me, I realized. All I could think was that he was trying to get us down there. I'm not going, B said. I'm going home. But the other two disagreed. Looks fun. Let's check it out. See? You guys aren't chicken, A said, trying to stir us up. I'm not going, B said. Do whatever the hell you want. Fine. Then the three of us will go down, A said. You guys just wait here. Then the three of us went down the stairs. B and I went inside. The toilets were surrounded by buildings that were full of windows, so we didn't know where someone might see us from. Waiting inside was the best bet. Hey, don't you think A's acting strange? B suddenly asked me. Yeah, he's acting weird today. It's like he was trying to get us here all along, I agree. Yeah, I think so too, B said. We talked about the events of the night, and what we'd do if we were discovered. 5 minutes later, we were starting to get annoyed that they hadn't returned yet. Let's just go home, B said. But A and the others took both our torches, so we thought it would take too long trying to find that small door in the darkness again. We reluctantly decided to keep waiting. Then we heard footsteps in the distance. The sound of several people shuffling their feet nearby reached our ears. B and I looked at each other, nervous. Shit! People are coming. This isn't good, we whispered. The situation became strained. The footsteps were in the distance, but we couldn't tell which direction they were going, and if we went outside, they'd probably see us because we didn't yet know the layout of the place. Shit, if they're coming this way, what are we gonna do? B said, panicked. My heart was pounding, and my chest as well. They're not necessarily coming this way, I said. But if they do, we'll hide. But there was no doubt about it. Soon the footsteps were getting closer. B grabbed the toilet door doll and pulled, but it wouldn't open. He grabbed the next, but it wouldn't open either. Fuck, they're all closed. Fuck, he muttered angrily. The footsteps were about 15 meters away and getting closer. Instinctively, I knew they were coming for us. I think B felt the same way. We stood there, frozen to the spot. Screw it, let's go down the stairs, B said suddenly. What, seriously? I replied. I did not want to go down those suspicious stairs, but there was nowhere else to hide, and if we ran outside into the darkness, we'd probably get caught. It was the middle of the night in a religious establishment, so that would undoubtedly dull our decision-making powers. B and I opened the door and snuck down the stairs as the footsteps got closer. The stairs were made of concrete, and while I thought they went down for a while, we reached the bottom after only 10 steps. We couldn't see anything in the darkness, but as we walked around, we found an open door. Inside was a room. Several orange miniature bulbs hung from the roof, casting an orange glow over the entire room. We went inside and softly closed the door behind us. It was a concrete room about 15 tatami mats large, with nothing else inside. In the middle, a large round shape hung from the roof. It's difficult to describe, but it was kind of like a large iron vertical hula hoop. It was so big that it basically touched the walls on either side of the room. But we didn't pay it much attention. We froze at the door and I turned to B. "Where's they and the others? They're not here." "I don't know," he replied. His face stiffened. As we suspected, the footsteps entered the toilet upstairs, echoing above us. There must have been 3 or 4 people. We didn't move a muscle, and we stood frozen before the door. We heard voices muttering above us, but we couldn't catch what they were saying. They were discussing something. B hung his head, his eyes closed. I don't know how much time passed, but I tried to remember something enjoyable to break the tension. The voices upstairs multiplied, and I realized there were probably 10 or so people up there. They knew we were hiding down here, I thought. I was so scared that I started to tremble. Their creepy voices overwhelmed me. Suddenly, the muttering stopped, and then the sound of 2 doors opening in succession reached us, following by another bang. We realized they were opening the toilet doors, and I got goosebumps. "Were there people in the stalls from the get-go?" B asked. I realized that was a possibility. The doors were locked, so people weren't opening them from the outside. They were opening them from the inside. Then footsteps descended the stairs. This was it. It only took 15 seconds to reach the bottom. I squeezed B's arms. The footsteps were around the middle. B let out a pathetic scream and shook off my hand. He ran into the middle of the room and jumped into the giant ring. He disappeared. I stared in amazement. He should have jumped through the hula hoop, but he disappeared. I went from fear to being dazed. I stepped away from the door and towards the hoop. I should apologize, I thought. Tell them I'm sorry. We came in here without permission. I'm sorry. The door slowly opened, a face poked purposefully through the gap. It was an old person wearing a crown. A smile lit up their entire face. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, but they had long white hair under the crown, and a smile lit up their wrinkled face. It was the first time I'd ever seen such an evil face. Evil smile. This person's not right in the head, I thought. I didn't think that they would listen to what I had to say. I didn't want to look at that cold, robotic smile for a second long. So a pathetic scream escaped my throat and I followed B through the ring. I was in a hospital bed when I opened up my eyes. Everything was hazy. I was looking at the roof, a needle sticking out of my arm. It took me 3 minutes to sit up. A beautiful sunset painted the sky outside my window. I was alone in a private room. I could think of nothing. I just sat there, dazed. I didn't know how long I sat there for, but a short while later there was a knock at the door and a nurse appeared. She looked surprised when she saw me and ran off somewhere. The haze in my mind continued. The doctor soon came in, followed by several others, but I didn't know what they were saying to me. My mind was blank. As time passed, my consciousness slowly returned, and I started to see things clearer. "We called your family," the doctor said. "You've been asleep for a long time, but don't worry, everything's okay now." I couldn't tell how long had passed since I woke up, but soon someone that looked like my mother and a young girl came into the room crying. That wasn't my mother. The name the doctor said earlier wasn't my name either. The woman calling herself my mother cried in happiness. Oh, thank God, thank God. Hey, big brother, welcome back, the young girl said, breaking out into more tears. I had a brother in university who was 3 years older than me, but I didn't have a younger sister. Who are you? Who the hell are you? I repeated. It's just the after effects. He'll be okay soon, the doctor said to the woman pretending to be my mother and the young girl. We'll be by your side all night, the woman said. They conducted various tests while I was laying down, and then I told the doctor, that's not my name, that's not my mother, and I don't have a sister. But the doctor just tilted his head. Your memories are a little, Listen, you've been asleep for close to 2 years, so your memories are a little fuzzy, he said. I was shocked. I couldn't fathom the reality of the situation. The doctor chose his words carefully and continued to try to cheer me up. The woman cried at the shock of my lost memories. I need to go to the toilet, I said, and stood up. My legs felt heavy and I could barely stand. The doctor, nurse, and young girl helped me along. It was then that I remembered the events of the night for the first time. It was strange, but after waking up, several hours passed without even thinking about it. Everyone waited outside while I went in. When I was done and looked in the mirror, I screamed. It wasn't my face looking back at me. It was a complete stranger. I don't remember very clearly, but I think I went into a panic and things quickly went downhill. A month later, I was admitted to a general hospital. The people calling themselves my parents and the young girl calling herself my sister came to visit me, along with my so-called friends and teacher from school. I kept telling them I wasn't who they thought I was, and they had no idea who they were. I told them all about A and B and the memories of my past, but they chalked it up to faulty memories and memory loss. A didn't exist. Neither did B. There were no such people. But everyone continued to treat me kindly. According to doctors, I was on the way home from school by bike when a passerby found me unconscious and I was taken straight to the hospital. I'd never heard of anything they were trying to tell me. Like, they told me, this is Kanagawa Prefecture, but I had no idea where Kanagawa was, and no such prefecture should have existed. I'd never heard of the yen, nor Tokyo. What the hell was Japan? I had no idea. Every time the doctor asked me what I called it then, I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember his name, and even though I told them about my classmates, they always told me no such people existed. I explained to the doctor numerous times about the religious establishment and the hula hoop, but he told me it was just a dream I had while I was in my coma. Even worse, I seriously started to believe that it was true, that it was all a dream I had while I was asleep. I began to believe that not only had I lost my memories, but that I had written over them with a fake life and fake world. Either way, I had no choice but to go forward living as this entirely different person. After I got out of the hospital, my parents took me back home. Do you remember it? They asked me, but it was the first time I'd ever seen it. I went to counseling and did my best to adapt to this new life given to me. Everything was split into things I knew, and things I'd never heard of before. I had never heard of any places, names, nor the history of this place and the people from it, but the language was mostly the same. Daily conversations about television and newspaper, chairs and remote controls, etc. None of this was strange to me either. At first, I was unable to adapt to my new family and spoke to them formally. I existed on my own, washing and such, but strangely, I came to think of them as my real family in time, and that other life seemed like a dream. As this happened, memories of that other time slowly faded away. The only thing that clearly remained was the faces of my family and friends, and the countryside town I lived in. But it still took time to remember even that. However, that final night remained vivid in my mind. especially the face of that old person as they smiled at me from the door. I got used to my new life, and my number of counseling visits it's time to take a drink. I need one now. Okay, bigger drink, bigger sip. I returned to school 6 months later. I was 20, so it was strange, but I made friends and enjoyed myself. All of the TV shows were brand new as well, so I could enjoy everything for the first time. We lived in a large city in Kanagawa, so I enjoyed big city. Heavy, yeah, it's a scary story. But about 4 months after my return to high school, something appeared connecting that world to this one. It was the summer holidays, and I went to the bookstore to get some books for my summer homework. A title caught my eye as I was browsing the books. It was a book about that religion. There was no doubt about it. It was the same name as that religious establishment we infiltrated that night. I was shocked. I grabbed the book and started reading it right away. That religion was, in this world, a rather important one. In the other world, this religion was small and unknown. But here, it was famous and worldwide. I read every book I could get my hands on, but it was all for nothing. It didn't change anything. I couldn't get it back. Excuse me? There might be another... There's no way I could prove my past was real to anyone. According to those around me, they claimed it was all because I dreamt about it unconsciously. That was all. I didn't want to worry about my new family and friends. I didn't want to worry my new family and friends. And I just started back at high school again, so I stopped talking about it. I went about my life as though everything was normal. 17 years passed, and now I'm working as a regular businessman in the city. So you might be wondering why I'm writing about all this. Last month, I received an anonymous letter at home. It said, "I'm sorry to approach you suddenly. I know all about you. I think you know all about me as well. It took me a long time to find you. Your name is O.O. Do you remember? I'll write to you again. Don't tell anyone about this letter, not even your wife." The name rang a bell, but it wasn't immediately familiar. I wasn't worried or scared, or even held any expectations regarding the letter. Rather, I felt like it was somebody else's problem. Then, last week, I received another letter. Basically, it said, "My name is blank. Do you remember me? It would appear that you and I are the only ones who made it here. I'll be at blank station on the 25th at 7 p.m. Make sure you're there. There's something I need to tell you. Come alone." I have no idea who that name belongs to, but I plan on going anyway. I feel like I have to. I don't think I'll be able to remember who will be standing there, but if it's someone from that night, maybe I'll remember who. I hope it's B. I don't know what will happen, so that's why I wrote all this down. I'm leaving this same tale for my wife and my younger sister, just in case. And the story leaves off there with a inconclusive ending. I both like and dislike inconclusive endings. It's kind of like, well, I think they're interesting because they allow your mind to wander and think about what else could have happened without directly telling you, because I think your imagination can often think of things that somebody else let me think about that. It lets you imagine in a way that you my brain is fried, I guess. You can imagine worse things than than the author could. Something more interesting, maybe. Like, it leaves you to wander and think about all kinds of things. But wait a minute, what? But is it real? Is it not? Who's Joe? Who's Joe? Joe was in my last stream. My last stream was Joe. Joe is a character in Your Turn to Die. Is that the Joe we're thinking about? What other Joe is there? Or was I not clear in my reading? So that's the first story. Let's see about other stories. I'm sure there's other very interesting, weird ones to read. Let's look. How about this? Yeah, this'll do. I don't know who Joe is this time, but maybe the next story we'll find out. This one is called Kotori Bako, which, wait a minute. Is that Bird Box? That's Bird Box. Well, it's more like the baby bird box. Preface. I'm the type of guy that likes to look at blogs in my free time. Personally, I don't have any ability to see ghosts whatsoever. I never thought I'd be here writing anything like this, but I'd come to tell you about something that happened to me last month. I have the permission of all those involved to tell this story, just in case. I think the people here are more likely to believe that what I have to say, so please listen. I might burp in a second. I hope you guys couldn't hear that, but if you did, excuse me. The protagonist of this story is one of my friends who has a strong ability to sense the supernatural. We've been friends since junior high school, and we still frequently go drinking together. Even though we're on the cusp of turning 30, his family have been working as Shinto priests in a rather large shrine where we live for many generations now. Usually they have regular jobs, but at times like New Year's or wedding ceremonies, they work as Shinto priests as a kind of side job, or perhaps as their main job. The family tends to live close to the shrine, so one day we decided to go out drinking, and we met up at my house first. My friend and his girlfriend arrived first, and we played some video games while waiting for another lady to show up. I'm gonna call my friend from the shrine M, and the girl who came late S, and myself A. I don't like when they use letters because it makes it hard to remember who's who. Hopefully I can keep track, so if you have questions, maybe I'll be able to keep track for you. So we have shrine friend is M, girl who came late S, myself A, M's girlfriend is K. Alright. You know what, maybe I'll try and give them names and hold them for the rest of the thing. Alright, so Sachi-chan. Sorry, I'm gonna be a little late. We found something interesting in the shed, and the family's been wrapped up in it. Oh, it's a guy, so Satoko... no. Friend is... Oh no, that is us. You good at quizzes and puzzles, right? I'm gonna bring something interesting. I'll be there in a bit. About 40 minutes later, Sachi-chan arrived. Then, at that moment, or rather I should say, The moment that Sachi-chan's car pulled into the lot outside, M said, "No way, this can't be. No way, what should I do? Dad's out today." Me. What's wrong? Can you see something again? There's no way I'm gonna be able to hold the names. Random names. I'm gonna mess it up. Okay, again. It's not that. This is not good. S-chan, are you for real? M can see ghosts, but he doesn't usually bring up when he sees them or anything about his shrine work. But every now and then, he starts to tremble like this. We all knew that because I didn't want M to be forced into such conversations, we tried not to bring it up. S-chan came inside, and M's face turned pale. S-chan, what did you bring? Show me. S, huh? Are you trying to tell me I brought something dangerous? The shed is being destroyed next week, so we found this while cleaning. Having said that, S-chan took out a wooden box. It was a cube about 20 centimeters long. So this was what she meant on the phone when she mentioned puzzles. It was made up of small wooden blocks, like Tetris pieces. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. At that moment, M ran off to the toilet. We could hear him throwing up. Kay followed him and rubbed his back as he leant over the toilet bowl. When he was done, M returned and shakily pulled out his phone to call someone. Dad. It's the kotori bako. My friend brought the kotori bako. I'm scared. I'm not like Grandpa. I can't do it like him. M started crying. What S-chan brought was so terrifying that this 29-year-old man was crying on the phone to his father. Yeah, it's not there. I can't see anything but the box. There's evidence it was there, but it seems to be gone now. Yeah, there's something in there, in my friend's belly. I think it's the shape of a sheep pole. Sheep pole, right? There's a triangle inside. It's a sheep pole, no doubt. I already said I don't know. I'm not like that. I heard a lot of technical terms I don't understand, but what stuck out most were the words kotori bako and sheeple. Sheeple usually would mean tail, but I don't know if this is a different sheeple, so we'll find out, I guess. Okay, I'll do it. If it goes wrong, you'll need to perform the purification. I'm counting on you. M hung up on the phone, then bawled his eyes out for the next few minutes, with his chest heaving from the sobs as he sat down Seiza style and said, "Okay, let's do this," and slapped his own knees. He was no longer crying. He was ready to do what he needed to do. "Hey, get me a box cutter and knife, would you?" "Me? What are you gonna do?" I'm not gonna kill anyone. I need to cleanse S-chan. S-chan, look at me. It's probably futile to tell you not to be scared, but don't be scared, okay? K and A, you need to be strong as well. There's nothing to be scared of. I'm not gonna lose. You think I'm gonna lose, huh? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't underestimate me. I'm gonna do it. Grandpa, I'm gonna do it. Just you watch. God damn it! M screamed out loud, trying to blow away his own fears. S-chan was on the verge of tears. She was scared to death. Both myself and Kay were about to cry. Honestly, I was about to wet myself. Already, but nothing has happened yet. Heads. Okay, I'll do my best. We had no idea what was happening, but S kept saying over and over that she understood. A, bring me a box cutter and knife. I handed M a knife with shaking hands. A, I want you to pinch the inside of my thigh as hard as you can. As hard as you can. I didn't know what was going on. All I could do was what M said. I pinched the inside of his thigh, and while I was doing this, M cut his fingertip in the palm of his hand with the knife. He probably had me pinch him to mask the pain. S-chan, open your mouth. M stuck his blood-covered finger inside her mouth. S-chan, drink. Even if it tastes awful, you need to drink it. Good. S-chan was bawling. She couldn't speak. No tenjou no ryoshin me wa to akimashita. Kashikomi kanshikomi momamosu. Sounded like some kind of prayer or incantation, but he repeated it 5 or 6 times. It sounded more like a recitation than an incantation. As soon as M pulled his finger out of S-chan's mouth, she threw up something that was covered in blood. It's out. Alright, you're gonna be okay. S-chan, you're gonna be okay. Next. M put his blood-covered hand over the box S-chan had brought. Kotoribako. It's no good. Should have done it properly. M looked like he was going to cry again. Hey, call my father for me. I grabbed his phone and called his father like he asked, then put the phone to his ear. Dad, I'm sorry, I forgot. Will you do the incantation with me? With the phone by his ear. Hello, mysterious cat person, welcome. With the phone by his ear, he put his right hand beside the box. Then 4 or 5 times he chanted something like an incantation again. It really did sound like he was reciting a poem or something. M repeated everything slowly, like he was being instructed. Then he finally said, "It's done. It's finished now. It's all over." M broke down in tears. Kay tried to console him, but for 20 minutes he cried his eyes out. The 4 of us all ended up crying together, but the whole time M made sure not to make contact with that box. After everyone calmed down, M asked me if I had a towel or something he could tie to the box. Something that he could tie the box to his hand with. I gave him a thin bath towel and he wrapped it around the box. Right, so where are we going to drink? Everyone, what? I'm joking. We'll have to call it a night. Hey, can you take me home? Just how strong was this guy? He had nerves of steel. Everyone was exhausted, so I took him home for the night and parted ways for... I misread that, I'm sorry. Then, about 8 days later, Emma apparently took the day off work. I met with him yesterday and we spoke about what happened that time. Let's see. S-chan's family probably won't like what I have to say, but there's this village up on Mount O. They have things like that box up there. Hold on, I'm hearing a weird noise. Nope, never mind. That's just, me faking myself out. My dad took it there and they've taken care of it. You're better enough off not knowing anything else about it. He looked like he didn't want to talk about it anymore. No matter how much I asked him about it, he wouldn't tell me anymore. He just said one final thing. Inside that box is hatred itself. But yeah, there are quite a few things in there, like fingertips and umbilical cords. We absolutely cannot discriminate. People's grudges are a terrifying thing. They can go and make something like that, you know? Whenever something like that box appeared, my grandfather was the one who dealt with it. He dealt with a lot of things like that during his time, but I never thought I'd have to as well. I've just been screwing around and never really took part in the family business, so I was spooked. I really need to study more, but hey, it doesn't really look like I have a talent for it either. And yeah, I mentioned the village and such, but S-chan is all good now. Same as before. We don't live in those times anymore. How stupid. Me? Of course, but putting that aside, do you mind if I tell this fun story to other people? You really like these kinds of stories, huh? even though you can't see ghosts yourself, haha. Me? It's because I can't see ghosts that I like these kind of stories. Yeah, I don't mind. It's not like people are gonna be haunted just because you spoke about it. No one will believe you anyway. They're just gonna call you a liar, and I'm just gonna feign ignorance. So that's the end of the strange experience I had. 1 second, I'm gonna fix up my fan here. Sorry if that caused any extra sound or anything. Later developments. After posting the story, the thread became extremely popular, so the original poster added to his story. Excuse me? Sorry for keeping you all waiting. Well, this certainly blew up, didn't it? It even became an independent thread. I live way out in the countryside, so please stop trying to find where I live. If a huge influx of tourists came out now, it would be terrifying. Of course, since this all blew up, I got a little worried, so I called them and asked earlier and let them know what was going on. Said, even if they do know where we live, it's not like they know the details, so quit worrying about it. I took the chance to ask Em a few things I'd forgotten while we were on the phone yesterday as well. 1. Aside from S, were those at the scene, meaning myself and Kay, going to be okay? 2. Were the rest of the family touched the box before it reached my house okay? 3. Just what the hell was that box? Em's answers are below. Regarding 1 and 2, the box only affects children and women of childbearing age. S's father and younger brother should be fine, but as for her mother, isn't she going through menopause anyway? S's grandmother would be the same. Of course you, myself, will be fine, and I was a little worried about Kay, but she didn't touch the box for very long, so she should be fine. If push comes to shove, I can take her to see my father, so it's all good. Regarding 3, Em didn't know the finer details of the box either, apparently, just that Kotori Bako means child stealing box. I don't know whether that's really true or not. He could be lying, trying to get me to turn my back on everything. From the way he was talking yesterday, it was like he thinks the less I know, the better, but he probably thought there was no point in hiding that much. The whole thing scares me, but now I want to know even more. My phone call with S-chan. In short, after what happened, some contractors came around to dismantle the shed, and there was a kerfuffle with the old guy next door. She wanted to tell the 3 of us about it the next day. According to S, she was more curious than scared. As someone who's involved, she wanted to know what happened and just what the box was. So after speaking to M, the 4 of us are going to meet tomorrow, but I don't know if Kay will actually come. Of course, hearing about it directly from Em's father would be best, but of course Em is hesitant, so it's a little difficult to ask. If there's a chance to ask him, however, I will. Having come this far, I want to know more, but I don't want to know anything to lose my friends. I don't want to do anything to lose my friends. Sorry, I apparently cannot read. So if one of them wants me to stop posting about it, I will. At the present time, I'm drowning in curiosity, but I also have some feelings of guilt. The whole story. I'm gonna write about what happened yesterday. It's going to be disgustingly long. I wasn't sure what to do, but after talking to the 4 of them, I've decided to publish what happened. I have a request for you all at the end as well. It was a rather long conversation, so summing it up will take some time. I also heard a few things that really shocked me, so I'm a bit confused. We spoke for close to 5 hours, and I'm relying on my memory for the finer details, so I've filled a few things in and made more conversation-like, so please understand. There are also a few areas I'll keep to myself. On the night of the 6th, we were going to meet at a house, but everything that happened with S and her family and the disturbance with her neighbor, we ended up going to her place instead. There was M, S, K, and myself, Then S's father, S's mother, S's grandmother, and S's grandfather. We'll call the old guy next door below J. Below is what happened. I will take a quick drink before I continue on. Nice deep breath. When the contractors came to demolish the shed. This happened 2 days after the events at my house. The contractors arrived on May 23rd with their equipment, and as they tried to enter the yard, Jay approached S's father. When he told Jay that they were demolishing the shed, he began to protest. The two men argued, and when S heard them, she thought that perhaps he knew something about the box. She went outside to ask Jay about it. At this point, she hadn't spoken to her family yet about what had happened. "Don't demolish that shed," Jay yelled. "Is the reason you don't want it destroyed because of that box?" S asked. Jay looked very, very surprised and in a panic asked her, "Did you find that box? What happened to that box? Are you okay?" When she told him what happened, Jay blamed himself and apologized to her. "It's because I didn't say anything this happened. There's something I need to talk to your family about soon," he said, and then he returned home. S then told her flabbergasted father about what had happened. Then, when she heard about Jay's story, she wanted to tell us what happened. But she showed no signs of actually coming to talk to her, so she was getting pissed off. Then, yesterday, she got a phone call from me. With them coming as well, she thought today would be the only chance for us to hear the story that he had to tell, so she convinced her father to invite Jay over. Excuse me. I'm drinking Coke, so it's quite burpy today. Oh, I realized my mouth isn't. Alright. Well, to continue on, M's story. As his father asked Jay if he could tell us the story, but with us being outsiders, he appeared hesitant. Then M said, "Do you mind if I tell a story first?" Oh, getting deep into it. Jason, the box was originally in your possession, yes? If you mention the word curse to someone these days, they'd probably just think of horror stories, but that box is something else. Hello? Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Among Us. I actually don't have that game, surprisingly. Where was I? I've heard a lot from my father and grandfather and seen them dispose of several boxes. When either of them speaks of the boxes, they are seriousness itself. They even have a ledger that details all of their dealings with them, and while it may have been an accident, people have died because of that box, as you well know. Among Us, more like. Ha ha ha. He he he. He he. But yeah, I don't have the game. Otherwise, I'd be up to play it with everybody. I'll be back to gaming streams probably Sunday. In case you wanted to know. My father had his doubts, and the fact that this time I was directly involved in what happened made us both check the ledger last night. It showed the location of the sheep bowl to be Jason's house. If that's correct, then something isn't right. Of course, my father said. Our family has a rule not to get involved with the boxes, but this time we had no choice. My father wanted to come, but seeing as I was the one to purify the box, I'm the one who's here today. Jason fell silent, along with everyone else. This was something between M and J, after all. Now Jason, if the box was in your house... Of course, there's no way that S's father would know about it. That I can understand. S's grandfather received the box from the T household and then died shortly thereafter, right? According to the ledger, within 1 year the box was moved from T's house to S's house to J's house. S's grandfather didn't have time to tell his son about the box. That we can understand. Moreover, considering the number of years in the arrangement, it's a little hard to think that it was now S's father's turn. Chances are it was either your house or T's house. But this time, the box appeared in S's house. That's a little strange, isn't it? I haven't taken part in my family's line of work much, so I haven't taken a good hard look at the ledger. But I looked over it yesterday with my father and was surprised. Until I heard S's story, I thought perhaps there had just been a mistake, that you didn't know of the existence of the box. But you did know, didn't you? Even though you knew of the box, you didn't take it on. Then, even though you knew it was in S's house, you kept quiet about it. This time, I was able to purify the box, and if you just played dumb during questioning, that would have been the end of it. If by some mistake no one knew the box was in S's house, then that would have been fine. But you were impatient, and you were scared. I wouldn't even be here today if we hadn't looked at the ledgers last night. We have a rule. It is forbidden for us to come here. So I want you to look past the fact that I'm here today. I had to come. I'm angry. So is my father. But we understand that that having to follow an arrangement made by ancestors you've never met is also harsh. You want to run away from it. I get it. I was the same. When I saw the box that day, all I wanted to do was run away. It was only a short period of time, but I wanted nothing more than to get away from it. Having to keep that for 10 years, or tens of years, I can't even imagine how scary that must be. But if this sort of thing is happening here, then there will be problems in dealing with all the other boxes. S barely ever went near that box. It was only by coincidence that we met that day. If we hadn't, S probably would have died. And now the other boxes might be causing damage too. So I want you to tell me, why did this happen? Not only that, Kay was there too, and she's a woman. Of course, she's able to give birth as well. She's not an outsider, she's a victim. And that guy, me, he might be an outsider, but he also might not be. His name is blank. It's a fairly common surname around these parts, isn't it? I had no idea what was going on, but Jason looked at me and went, right. I should explain about the box at first, I guess. Both the S, J, and the T house across from us have been looking after the cheap bowl. I thought it was sheep bowl, but apparently it's cheap bowl. The box has been divided between 3 houses. We take turns looking after it, and after the head of the household dies, the next household receives it from the previous owner's heir. And then they keep it until they die, when it passes on to the next household, over and over. The head of the household explains about the box to their next in line. If there is no next in line, they explain after that they get an heir. If, for some reason, the head of the household is not blessed with an heir, the box passes on to the next house. It's the same for all parties. There are 3 or 4 households with boxes. We try not to talk to the others. The reason the box gets passed around is to weaken what's inside it. When the head of the household receives the box, they are to keep it away from women and children. Then, the houses that are not in possession of the box or to watch the house that does. I appreciate that. I do have that in the hashtags. I could put it in my description, which would give me the hashtag at the top as well, but I'm not sure how effective those hashtags really are. I appreciate the suggestion. I will definitely add that in next time. Probably Sunday, my next stream. I don't mind building up a small experience on my way, you know? I'm just taking my time. Now, where was I? Then, as my family's agreement in the past, the households, then they received a paper for Allison from M's household, and they're to replace the one that's affixed to the box. The households keep the box for a designated number of years, and after the inside of the box has been weakened, it's reported to M's family to be taken care of. It's to be taken to M's family shrine. Then, as my family's agreement in the past, we take care of the box. A memorial service is held for the dead. This service is held with all the boxes. All the boxes' current owners and the ledger. Whoa, box funeral. Jay, that's right. Originally, I was supposed to receive the box after S's grandmother died. But to tell you the truth, I was scared. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. After T died, and then S passed on as well, I was scared. Even though I knew it had no effect on men, I was terrified of when S's father would bring me the box. But after the funeral, several days passed and he never brought it. I went and spoke to the T family about it, and we thought it was possible that S's father didn't know about the box. And perhaps it was our chance to get away from it all. The first thing I did was ask in a roundabout way about the box, to confirm whether he knew about it or not. We kept watch on the shed, and after T changed the paper talisman on the box, we planned to move away. Then the other parties would think, that family is finished with the box now. I continued to watch the S household. Then, after the allotted number of years had passed, I would have the box delivered to N's shrine. Then, I'm so sorry, because the S household didn't know about the box. Even if S or S's mother died, I thought I wouldn't get caught. Because the S household didn't know about the box. Oh, I reread that. Because the other parties aren't allowed to get involved in the other boxes. I discussed this with T. I'm so sorry. I don't know about the other boxes. I never thought it would really happen. I'm so sorry. Jae-san got down on his knees and apologized, over and over. S's father was apparently told by his father not to go near the shed. In reality, the shed was so creepy he never thought he would go near it. Then, when they started talking about finally tearing it down, S found the box when tidying up. S's father's mother and grandmother couldn't believe it, but apparently only S's grandmother understood what it was. She supposedly said, so that's why he didn't want us near the shed. My next story should be the chant Era Ameno Dorime. I'll look that up if that's a thing. Take another sip before I continue on with the next portion. M's story once again. I see. So that's what happened. Even though you didn't take the box, you had to monitor it, and in the end you still couldn't escape it. You had to worry about it for another how many years? Was it 19? If you had taken it, in the end I would have had to purify it, huh? As his father, mother, grandmother, and us. The story makes no sense, and you likely have no idea what's going on. But this is reality. You probably think it's stupid, but it's real. But I'd like you to not get mad at Jason, considering he knows what's inside that box. Of course he'd want to run away, but the box is gone now, so it's okay. Please forgive Jay and treat it like an interesting story you've just heard. I want you to forgive him. Jason looked down and his head dropped. Looking at him, he seemed somewhat pitiful. On top of that, you probably all you probably all want to know what was inside the box. Having come this far, I want you to keep listening until the end. I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what I do know. The box is finished, so I think it won't be a problem, but in reality, there are still 2 boxes left that I'll likely have to deal with at some point. Excuse me? So it's my decision to tell you. Plus, it's something S's father originally should have been told, and A has been persistent in asking me about it as well. The box is called Kotori Bako, meaning the child-stealing box. It was created from the second half of the 1860s to the start of the 80s and was filled with the bodies of children killed by their parents. In the past, this village was the site of terrible discrimination and persecution, and so the persecution was so terrible the children were often killed off. They did not really say, that was me, that was all me. And so, the persecution was so terrible, the children were often killed off. Yoshida Village, a place name alias, was under the control of the Yoshida family, and persecution at their hands was especially awful. And then, when the breadwinners of the household wanted children, they would go and have them, but with no decent wages it was difficult to raise them. So they would kill them. You understand what I'm saying so far, right? So, you know about the uprising in Oki Islands in the second half of the 1860s, right? It took them about a year to suppress it, but in that time, one of the people involved escaped this village. You learned about the reason for the revolt at school, right? Oki is a very prosperous land. Well, anyway, that guy's name was Blank. It was the same last name as mine, so I'll call him A. According to who you ask, when they managed to suppress the revolt and brought A here, he supposedly found a chance to escape. He ran all the way to this village. The people of the village were already under a heavy burden, and thinking he would bring more trouble, they tried to kill him. But then A said, "If you help me, I'll give you a weapon." The weapon was a small box, or more accurately, how to make the box. When the villagers asked him what type of weapon it was, he explained everything and they agreed to his conditions. A then gave them one more condition. He would show them how to make the box, but he wanted them to turn the first box they made over to him. If they agreed, he would teach them. If they couldn't agree to that, they may as well kill him. Villagers agreed, and so A showed them how to make the box. Apparently, A said to the villagers that after hearing how to make the box, they could still quit, and they could still choose to kill him. That's how sinister the box was. And A thought so as well, but he told them, once we go through this, my life is forfeit, but there are just some things you have to do. The first step was fitting together several complex pieces of wood as a box. This was so it couldn't be opened so easily and was the hardest part of the process. You guys saw it, right? The box looked like a puzzle. Next, the inside of the box is filled with the blood of a female beast, and then, after a week, a lid is put on before the blood has dried. Next is the interior. This is the origin of the name Kotori Bako. It's just like you would imagine, I think. They put a part of a child they've killed inside. From babies that were just born, they put their umbilical cord, the tip of their forefinger, up to the first knuckle, and intestines that have been soaked in blood. For children up to 7 years, they put in the tip of their forefinger and intestines soaked in blood. And for children up to 10, they put in the tip of their forefinger. Then they close the lid. The number of children inside changes the name of the box. 1 child is Ippo, 2 is Niho, 3 is Sonpo, 4 is Shippo, 5 is Goho, 6 is Roppo, and 7 children is called Chippo. Chippo. I'm saying it awkward because I'm saying it slowly. He apparently emphasized that they could go no higher than that. Then, each box was said to have a seal to indicate what type of box it was. Ippo had a triangle, Niho had a square, and so on. But the box A himself would bear, the Hakai needed 8 children under the age of 7. Hello, we're back. And in addition to that, he needed an extra woman and child. He told the villagers that under no circumstance were they to make a Hakai ever again. Normally, you would think that hearing all this you would no longer go through with it, right? Hearing such an awful story from a shady man, no matter how hard your life is, how could you live with not only the pain of killing your own child, but then treating their dead body in such a way? But you see, the villagers agreed, and then they did it. I don't know what their motives or mental state was, but they must have been under frightful persecution. Persecution so terrible that they would kill their own child in order to have a weapon they could hold in their hands. Then the first box was made. Each house had discussion after terrible discussion of which child were to kill. And we are back. Sorry about that. Something happened. Basically, a couple of programs froze and quit on me in the middle of the stream. Usually that doesn't happen, but what? Oh, I have 2 open on this tab. Alright, but I'm back. Thank you if you waited. It was not the internet. It was like my stream went for a second. And I appreciate you guys coming in, chilling with me while I read to you. I'm definitely gonna finish the story, so we'll get back to it in a second. Just want to make sure everything is going just fine on... Oh, okay. No, that's good. Hold on. Wait. I seem to be frozen. I just noticed. The face tracking should be working, but it is apparently not. Let me see this again. Well, it looks like I'm gonna be still for the rest of it. That's very weird. Usually that doesn't happen, because according to my tracking, it should be moving, but I'm not moving. So I guess it will be PNG for now. I'm sorry guys, sorry for the technical difficulties, but I will finish off this story and yeah. Hello, if you're new here, sorry about the technical difficulties. Usually I would I would be moving, but I am frozen. It's so weird. It's so weird. Why is it like this? Okay. Well, back to wherever I was in the story. Yeah, I'm frozen solid from being scared. I'm shaking. Well, I'm not really shaking. I'm just not moving. I'm still as a statue. Maybe restart. I did try that and it did not work. So I might need to just delete it off of, you can see, let me put up a BRB screen maybe. No, it's not going to show up. Properties. It's very weird. I'll have to fix this tomorrow. So I'll just continue on. Show goes on, right? That's what they say. No, this is the wrong story. Let me get to the right story. Let's see, where were we? The Hachi was finished. The names that he read out, they were names we know, but I can't repeat them here. So, the effect of the box was like I explained before. The box possessed and killed them, extremely painfully. Somehow, their internal organs were torn apart, not from touching the box, just from being near it. Then, seeing the effects of the box right in front of their eyes, the villagers went ahead with creating their own. The first box they built for themselves was a cheap bowl. The box I purified, a box filled with 7 children. In less than 2 weeks, it was killed 15 children and 1 woman. How awful. Then, they gave the box to the Yoshida village head for safekeeping, under the pretext of the villagers' good faith and sincerity. The Yoshida household suffered painfully. The women and children vomited blood before they died in agony. Then, they explained what happened to the Yoshida family's superiors and the others areas in the vicinity, and warned them not to get involved in the village's affairs anymore. They wanted to be left alone. They would not forgive what had been done to them, but if they were left alone, they wouldn't do anything further. If they agreed, those who were in Yoshida for work were to no longer come there. Then, if people wanted to retaliate, they would once again bring out their curse. The box that was given to the village head was also to be returned to the village. As for why they wanted it left there, they never publicized the reason. They just wanted it there. Then, they continued making boxes. Before long, there were 7 of them. I think that this was just a bluff. They hadn't really made 7 more boxes. That's what I want to think anyway. It might be rude to say, but it seems difficult to believe that villagers who couldn't even read and write would be able to come up with all of this. It had to be the work of A. The Yoshida family and the surrounding villages agreed to the terms. News of what happened got around, so people immediately stopped meddling in the village's affairs. Even so, the villagers continued making boxes, like this one. A was already out of the picture, but he apparently told them how to handle the boxes. Women and children were not allowed near them. They were to be stored in dark, damp places. Lastly, the power of the boxes would weaken as time passed. If by some chance they no longer needed the boxes, or they had gotten beyond their control, they were taken to O's shrine to be dealt with. A temple was no good. They needed to be taken to O's shrine. The villagers continued making boxes for another 13 years. Other than the first box, they only made the boxes when they needed to cull the children of the village. When they killed the children, they continued to despise and curse the Yoshida family. They wanted to feel less guilt about the killing, to have Yoshida village returned to them. In their 13th year of making boxes, they made the 16th box. There were 6 ippo, 2 niho, 5 goho, and 3 chippo. Looking at it simply, that meant 56 children had. There were rumors of failed boxes as well, so that number was probably even higher. In the 13th year, there was an accident. At the time, all the boxes were kept in one place to be monitored. Then it happened. An 11-year-old boy snuck in and stole one of them. The worst part was that it was a cheap pull. The higher the number of the box, the stronger it was. Not only that, it was a cheap pull that had just been created. You know what the box looks like, right? Just like the box S was playing so carefree with. Thinking he had found an interesting new toy, the boy returned home with the box. Within a day, all the women and children in the household died. For the first time, the villagers felt true fear regarding the boxes. They keenly felt their real power, and how they could come back to bite them if neglected. Having felt their true power, they realized that if they hadn't dealt with the boxes, it could happen again. Absolutely. Terrified, they decided to dispose of them. You know most of what happened after that. 5 representatives came to see my family. They asked my ancestors to dispose of the boxes, but they were too strong, so they had to be weakened first. This was done just like Jason explained. Then, after the agreed-upon number of years passed. Hello, Vignet. Good to see you again. I am frozen, but I am here. The number of years each box was held was probably by an approximation by my ancestors. Depending on how strong each box was, it could be 110 years, or in the case of a cheap bowl, 140 years. There was a rule that those looking after the boxes were never to run away from them. After the parties were divided, one person was chosen from each to be a representative and delivered a box. They then informed our shrine who had that box, and after that person informed my ancestors, they were killed. This way, the other parties wouldn't know who had what box, and for how many years they had to look after it. It was forbidden for any of the parties to speak to each other about the boxes. As for why they didn't look after the boxes together, this is just what my grandfather said, but the number for a single person would lessen the I'm reading your comments and they're throwing me off. Subscribe for me to stop staring. Subscribe for me to stop staring. As for why they didn't look after the boxes together, this is just what my grandfather said. But the burden for a single person would lessen the responsibility of what had been done. Having a number of people would make sure the burden was felt, and that they couldn't escape from it. Then, after the allotted numbers of years passed, the boxes would be brought to the shrine and disposed of. Unfortunately for him, my great-grandfather had to deal with quite a lot of them. The number of years is different for each, and the rule for deciding it was unknown. But my father dealt with most of the boxes, all but the cheap bowl, which had the longest time limit and was to be dealt with during my generation. I thought that time was still far ahead of me, and hadn't seriously thought about it yet. That's everything about all the boxes I know. That and the cheap bowl that I cleansed was the very first cheap bowl ever made. And then this is the final section, and once again, a sip. My request for you all. The above happened last night. I was honestly troubled over whether I should publish it or not. It's clearly something taboo. It's something the villagers wouldn't want outsiders to know. But M said there are still 2 boxes left. 2 cheap pull. M said he will bear the responsibility of dealing with both of them. And after we listened to his story, we still had a lot of questions, so I thought I would publish it to get people's help. At the beginning I said I had a request for you all, and this is it. After you finish reading this story, if you have any information at all, could you let me know about it? I won't give concrete details about where we live, and I'm scared to tell you our names, but out of my own interest, I want to know more. After listening to M's stories, there are a lot of unknown parts to both M and his father, both S and her family, and also Kay wishes to know more. M thinks that, in this day and age, you can perhaps fill in some blanks. With occult stories, you don't know just how much of it really is truth. I wouldn't believe in these boxes myself if I hadn't seen one with my own 2 eyes. Excuse me? Who was A, and where did he originally come from? How did A learn to make the boxes? Why was A in the Oki Islands? Where's the first box, the Hakai? What happened to A after that? What did A do with the Hakai? I learned that the government in Kyoto sent prisoners to the Oki Islands. So does the origin of the boxes come from the Kyoto area? I also have a desire to learn a little more about my roots. When my father was born, he heard that his ancestors came from the Oki Islands, but we don't know any more than that. I don't know whether I have any connection to A. Of course, my sister doesn't know anything about it, and when I asked my mother or grandmother about it, they just say that there's no way they would know. Is there anyone who's well versed in history, or perhaps seen the word Hakai pop up in their local history or folk tales? We don't know anything about the origin of the boxes or how they got their names. I'm just guessing, but I guess Ippo and Niho mean the first sealed and second seal. Maybe the Hakai means the 8th opening. I wouldn't really reveal our names, especially my last name. I've also concealed where we live and any important information about it. It might be silly to ask for information, considering how little I've given out, and I'm sorry. But if you know anything, please let me know. I intend to go to the library myself and research some local history. If you know anything, please leave a message. I feel like asking for information is one way to get into big trouble with this sort of thing. With, spooky things. So yeah, that's the end of that story. Why don't I talk with chat a little bit while I'm chilling in between stories. Can give some shout outs to everybody I see in the chat. Hello, Imhaz. I'm not sure which way it is. Hello, EFYN. Hello to Dr. Iva Robotnik. I don't think you're really Robotnik, but you might be. If so, I hope you get the Chaos Emeralds. Give some shout outs while I'm frozen. Let's see what. So, should I read one more story, find a quick one, and finish off? Or should we stop here? I could tell one more story. I don't mind. Even though I'm frozen, that just means I'm trapped here. I'm trapped here with all of you. All of my cool new friends. And taking a look to see if there's a good story. ERA Amino. Right, ERA. All I'm finding is Equal Rights Amendment. Era Amino. What is my time zone? My time zone is Pacific time, so it's 1:39 a.m. here. Ah, is this like a song? Or a chant? I can read this out. Sure. I don't know what it means, but I'll read it out for you. Hello, Nariri. Welcome. Dorime interimo adapare dorime amino amino latire. Am I gonna summon a demon? Latire mo dorime amino omanare imperavi amino. Timere timeri mantiro mantiremo amino. Omenare imperavi emulari amino. Omenari imperavi emulari amino. Amino dore, imi, amino dore mi, amino, amino, amino. Omenare imparave amino. Timere, timere mantiro. Mantire, I don't know if I'm saying this all right. Mantiremo amino. Omenare imparavi emulari amino. Apparently it's not real Latin. It's made up by a guy to make it sound like real Latin. I guess I can pronounce it however then if it's made up. It's a nice meme song lyric thing. What's that one you always see in songs? The Buddhist one, Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. It's kind of a tongue twister. Namu Amida Butsu. Right? Alright, I have one more story, and then I go to bed. I guess it's not bedtime for everybody, but it will be bedtime for me. Pronouncing pretty good for someone who hasn't heard it yet. I'm just guessing, I usually just go default to like basic like a Japanese or Spanish pronunciation. A long time ago, I took Spanish class, and I'm not really good at it, but it helps me with pronouncing random things. Like, if I see like an Italian word, it kind of helps with that. It shouldn't, but it kind of helps. The worst things for me pronouncing is going to be French words. Like, I can't do it. I can't do a French accent. It's just not something I'm capable of. I'll try really hard if I see it, but I can't do it very well. Please let me know if there's anything, if my sound is okay, or if there's any problems with it ever. Here goes a third story. I do not see a title from it, but it's just a quick one, and this will be my last story of the night. This is a story when I went to my friend's house for a sleepover as a middle schooler. I've been to my friend's house many times. His house is fairly new, with a great sense of architectural design, and there was nothing scary about it, except for one thing. Going further into the road juxtaposed to my friend's house, there was a graveyard near the mountainside, with numerous Buddhist Shiva statues? There was nothing scary about that place during the day, but whenever I went out to play with fireworks at night, I constantly glanced back towards the graveyard with chills running down my spine, for I've always sensed as if someone was looking at me from a distance. One late night, my two friends and I decided to play some video game after dinner. One of them repaired the console with the other. The girl who lived in that house was using the rest of the room. Was using the restroom. Okay. My lazy self, instead of helping my friend who was setting up the console, tried to take photos of my friend with a disposable camera from behind. I did so because there were only 3 more shots left inside the camera's film case and thought of using it all tonight. The camera flashed as I pressed the shutter, shooting a photo of my friend's back as he was about to turn towards me. The TV was completely turned off when I took the photo. My friend was initially mad about it, but ended up laughing it off, and when my other friend returned from the restroom, all 3 of us proceeded in playing the game. Everything seemed ordinary at the time. A few days later, I brought my disposable camera to the camera shop to print out the photos inside. Bringing back the set of the printed photos to my house, I looked at them one by one in nostalgia inside my room, before finding one that caught my attention as if it called out to me. It was that photo of my friend who was I can't speak. It was that photo of my friend's back who was preparing the console. In that photo, there was the face of a man glowing in green with the TV screen despite the TV being turned off at the time. The glowing green man's face had a pair of eyes that were looking directly at me instead of my friend and a nose, but everything below was gone. As the man's eyes met mine, I let out a loud scream and fled my room to my parents in tears. That photo was my very first ghost picture I ever took in my life. Both of my parents were equally frightened upon looking at the troublesome photo and advised me to dispose it. I couldn't disagree with them. For precaution, I've also showed the photo to my 2 friends that were in the house that night, and to get confirmation on whether there weren't anyone else in that room and if the TV was actually turned off. They both confirmed as all 3 of us shivered in our classroom. Our homeroom teacher joined the conversation upon hearing the loud commotion, and as she took one look at the photo, she let out a yelp as well. After discussing with my friends on how to get rid of the haunted photo, we all unanimously agreed to bring it to the Buddhist temple for purification. But when the day came for me to do so, the haunted photo mysteriously disappeared from the stack of the printed photos that were inside my desk, never to be found. I skipped school the next day due to illness probably caused by the series of paranormal activities I've experienced up until now. The next day, my friend's grandmother, who lived at the house that I frequently visited for sleepovers, explained to me that the TV in which we played video games on was placed at the same direction of where the graveyard is, and just above the TV was a passage to the afterlife for the souls to travel from their graves. The glowing green man's face displayed on the TV screen still remains in my memory even to this day. Alright, so that was a quick little story, and that's going to be the final one for tonight. And Dr. Robotnik says, and then we game. I will not be gaming, but all of you are welcome to go have fun with the rest of your night or day, depending. On Sunday, I will stream more Your Turn to Die. I will be finishing up Chapter 1, Part 2, and starting Chapter 2. Excuse me. And that will be what we'll be doing, and hopefully by then I will not be frozen. I will be unfrozen. I will be moving. Thank you for coming with and hanging out. Can I sleep well tonight? I hope you sleep well. Don't worry, there are no ghosts coming for you. I will prevent the ghosts with a special mind power. My octopus powers allow me to prevent ghosts. That probably doesn't sound very true. Hopefully no ghosts visit you guys, but if they do, feel free to tell me and I'll read out your ghost experience for you. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in. I do not have a very strict schedule right now. I generally will announce on the day I'm going to stream on Twitter what time about I think I'll stream, but it's not always solid because I have a lot of other stuff going on, moving factors, However, my stream on Sunday will likely be somewhere in the morning time in Pacific time, which is my time. So somewhere around then. You can expect it then. Or you can subscribe and you can stop in late if that works for you, whichever way you want to keep track of it. In the future, maybe in the summer, I'll have some more solid schedules, but for now, it's just playing it by ear, and, you know, no harm, no foul if you show up again some other time late, and it won't bother me. I'm just happy that you guys stopped in here and hung out with me for so long. I appreciate everybody for being here, so thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. 4 hours before stream, make an announcement. That's a good idea. I will definitely do that. I will announce ahead of time. So, thank you, everybody. Alright, bye for now. Bye bye. Have a good day.